Welcome to the third session of International Webinar Series organized by Skills Center Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, Thrissur. Today we have Dr. Nitin Padmanabhan sir. Now, to the
There's a lack of clarity.
It's fine at my end.
Who's speaking?
Didn't sir, ma'am.
Am I supposed to take over now?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
please welcome Nitin sir.
Okay. Yeah, so good evening to all. I can see that quite a large number of people, especially our guest, Nitin Padmanabhan, then again many of our trust members, especially our chief patron, and then again the directors. I hope the principal has also joined in. Quite a large number of faculty members from our college and also from outside, because we have prepared a lot of students here who have become faculty members in other colleges. And we also have several batches, so I'm sure that more batches of students will be slowly, more batches of our alumni will be joining us soon. And of course, our current students at Vidya, from all disciplines and from all batches, that is right from S2 to all the way up to our PG classes. Okay, so it's a very special day for us, because I have been bestowed the duty of welcoming all of you, even the guests that we have here, all of you, on behalf of Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, to a very special session, because this session I see more or less like a homecoming, because I believe that most of the development of Nitin Padmanabhan happened in our college, that is in Vidya. So that's a very special occasion for all of us, and it's my pride and pleasure. It's also a privilege to welcome all of you to this fourth episode of the international webinar. I recall a particular incident when I see Nitin on the screen across so many oceans. I recall a particular incident that happened in my class a few years ago. It was it was not a class where I was teaching Nitin. It was a junior batch, and it was September 5th. September 5th, as you very well know, it's a Teachers' Day, and our students are supposed to be more respectful of teachers when compared to foreign students, is what I hear from many professors from abroad. And so we had the Teachers' Day celebration in the morning. And in the afternoon, I was supposed to handle a class, and I could see that they were not all that accepting of an analytical class in the afternoon. So I soon converted this class into a session wherein I asked the students to speak about their idea of a teacher, and also of their ideal teacher or whatsoever. Okay, and soon came to me. Of course, the session was very interesting, and then it came to me. And when it came to me, what I told them was that my idea of a teacher is someone who stands before the students, and making them closer and closer to the teacher, the level of the teacher, using several methods: the lectures, the lifestyle, the way in which you deal with the students in all these aspects, the morale that you give, the morality that you try to pass on, all those aspects, and the student slowly comes closer and closer. Then the student comes to the teacher and goes beyond. And then the teacher turns back and looks at the student who has gone beyond and is conquering the world. This is exactly the sentiment that I feel here right now when I see Nitin there, because he has completed his PhD in lesser number of years than me. He has completed his PhD in a world famous institution, that is University of Waterloo. He has more impact publications than me, etc., etc. So in that context, I am very happy to see that Nitin is with us. And let me also, and in fact, Nitin was always with us. He never severed his ties with us, even when he was taking his masters at GEC Thrissur. There also he used to come often. He was always with us, and then he became our colleague. I remember, I also recall with quite a lot of pleasure the fact that he was more concerned about my reputation, my performance, perhaps even the way that the world treats me than I was myself. So that was a very, and in fact I remember a very important phone conversation we had just before he was leaving for Canada, and he was telling me, "Ma'am, don't trust anyone." I hope you remember. Don't trust anyone. And then I hope he also remembers my response when I told him, "Nitin, I have lived all my life as a woman. I can handle everything." So that was, I hope he remembers that. So that was how, that's what Nitin is to me. That is, he can always, in fact, if we asked him for such an honor of him coming and presenting something, he could as well say no. He could as well say no, because he knows that he will understand. All his teachers, alma mater will understand. Because so, and I remember
Canada. He has over 6 years of research and analysis experience in power system area. And he had also a funding from Natural Science and Engineering Research Council, NSERC, Canada. He has more than 11 years of teaching experience in university, college students, etc. in Canada as well as in India at both undergraduate level and postgraduate level. He has received the BTech degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, Thrissur, and he has completed his MTech degree in Electrical Engineering, that is in Power System, from Government Engineering College, Thrissur in Kerala, 2010. And he has obtained his PhD in Electrical Engineering from University of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, in the year 2019. He is also a recipient of various awards as follows. He has received an award from Energy Council of Canada, Energy Research Fellow in the year 2018, Faculty of Engineering Award, University of Waterloo in the year 2017, and Best Teaching Assistant Award in Electrical and Computer Engineering at University of Waterloo in the year 2017. He was also a Best National Service Scheme Student Volunteer in 2005. Which means definitely beyond, along with this academic activities, he is also active in non-academic activities. Beyond his academic contribution, he was a very active member of several professional societies like IEEE, IST, etc. He has also served as IEEE volunteer in various positions in Kerala sections as well as in Canada. And welcome to the webinar series, Dr. Nitin.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I suppose, the words my teachers have been speaking about me has made me very much emotional. I am to students, especially who don't me, they have been, I would say they have been boasting more than like what I deserve. So you please know that. And in fact, it is my honor to be with my alma mater and sharing and talking to the budding engineers, seeing my teachers. Yeah, I am so happy to note that Ashokan sir from Trust, our academic director, I cannot see the whole list, but I'm seeing quite known faces and names like that show I cannot express my gratitude towards you, even I see my friends, a lot of friends, colleagues, everyone there. So I am.
There are many on YouTube also. There are many on YouTube.
I'm moved by the care and wishes that you have been showering over me for all these years, and it has been continuing. So as Sudha ma'am rightly said, it is indeed a special occasion for me. As a matter of fact, it's after a long time, I have been addressing a student community at our college. I have been doing that as a faculty member when I was there about 6 years ago. And coming back to alma mater is always special. This institution, without an iota of doubt, I can say that whatever I have reached in my life and whatever achieved, a big role has been played by Vidya Academy of Science and Technology. My teachers, my colleagues, my students, even the management. I had to. I start calling out names, like I would be running out of time because we have a very limited time. But especially, I'd like to recall my Dr. D. Balakrishnan sir, Brahmadattan sir, P. Pratapachandran Nair sir, my teachers Joe sir, Maya ma'am, those who are not with us now, and many more who are with us. So it's actually the blessings of my teachers who taught me at school, my teachers at my undergraduate, graduate level. This is all what has helped me to reach this stage. I think I should now be stepping into my duty. Like I have been asked to talk something to the student community about. When I was told, like, in fact, I see this as a very, I don't see this as a formal session, because as ma'am rightly said, this is a homecoming, right? Ghar wapsi, we call it in Hindi. Yeah? And like, I'm not tense. Usually when I give presentations, though I am prepared, I'm tense because I'm facing a new audience. I don't know the people there, but this is my alma mater, right? Even if I make mistakes, there's no problem, right? I'm making it in front of my teachers. So that gives me a big relief. Anyways, so I decided, when madam came up with this idea of international webinar, and the idea she had, like, been carrying in her mind, like, right from the days when I was a student. Like, she has been working on it day and nights, like, to impart this, make student community understand, like, what is the importance of projects, you know. So, and she, many a times she succeeds, many a times she fails, but she doesn't care. Even she is able to help one single student to improve and achieve something that makes her happy. So that are a few qualities which I have really imbibed in my life. So projects, right? So then I thought, like, why I'm not a technical expert. If I talk too much on my research, people may not understand. So I thought this is something which I'll be talking from my experiences, my perception. Okay. So many of you may agree with me, many of you may not agree with me, but I'm open to discussions. I'm always ready to correct myself. So this is what I decided to talk about: project-based learning. Why, what, and how. I little bit modified the title. So I want to talk about, like, why are nowadays everyone, the engineering institutions, talking about it? What is it actually, and how can we implement it? Okay, detailed background has already been read out. I don't want to go into another details. So I'd like to start with a story. Okay, I always like. I was a teacher, so that always, whenever I make presentation, that trait always comes into me. So I would like to but let me make a disclaimer. Okay, so when I talk about this, you may find resemblance with someone, but it's pure coincidence. So there was an average, above average student. Okay, it may be he or she. Okay. And many of students sitting here, they came to very good institutions, which are so a lot of social. The people behind it had very good motto. They wanted the social. Lucky enough to get in there. And over the 4 years, he gained many skills as usual. A little bit of the subject knowledge, he or she, subject knowledge, life skills, etc. And as everyone graduated. By the end of 4 years, towards the end year, the student had 2 placement offers, decided to not go with those, and then again going ahead in life, cleared the GATE exam, went for the master's degree, decided to come back and do engineering, teach as a faculty member, then persuasion of knowledge or some other factors, decided to go for higher studies, took PhD, had offers. But this is not what I actually want to talk about. So as I said, this may be he or she, many of my classmates, there are a lot of people, right? But let me come to my story. So the real story. This is what I want you, especially the student community, to know. So when I see myself, okay, in 2003, right? So when I joined engineering, it was some sort of peer pressure. I would say everybody of my friends is taking mathematics and science group, going for engineering. I also decided to go for engineering. I got into a good institution, my very good in alma mater. But frankly speaking, when I when I was a student, did I had real interest? Did I had a clear aim in my life? I have no, I don't feel shy making a confession was at that point of time I was ignorant. I lacked interest. I studied just keeping exams in mind. So that was the kind of mindset I had. But I luckily fairly did well somehow. But another important point I like to highlight is I was ignorant of the tools and technical skills. I didn't pay much attention to using softwares. Okay, coding languages. I was not aware of any of those when I completed my BTech, to be frank with you. But then I went for my higher studies for MTech. There I started learning few things and all. But then came actual realization in my life, first phase of my realization when I took up teaching. So then I realized like whatever I've been doing, that was not actually fair. Like if I want to teach students, I have to correct myself first, right? I have to start learning the correct way. So there I started learning the things which I already knew, but in a correct way. And then I tried to impart those things to my students. I don't know how successful I was, but then again came a phase where I had opportunity to join for my PhD. So as I said, when I went for my PhD program, the first few years were very excellent. Like I was doing coursework, I was scoring very well in my coursework and all. But then came the phase when I was actually in my research. Okay, there started the life started showing me like what is actually academics and what is so I was struggling like anything. I was struggling to find my research problem. I was trying to understand. I had no clue what would I be doing. I started feeling incompetent. I felt like, how would I face my family? Like I'm not able to, what would my daughter think? What would my wife think? What would my parents, my teachers, everybody think? I'm not able to do anything, So what was the problem? I started to analyze. Okay, so this point, but luckily for me, I had already have a group of students who have joined engineering colleges, right? So, and then we are seeing that there are a lot of students struggling, drop, etc. So what are the reasons for that? So what I believe is first and foremost is lack of genuine interest. Okay, they don't like engineering. It may be because they lack aptitude for that, or even if they have aptitude, sometimes it's part of the failure on us teachers who couldn't motivate them enough to like the subject or engineering and pursue it as a career. And then next is inculcating the art of learning. As I said, like when I was a student, I was doing what is called superficial. I won't call learning. It would be a reading, something like, right? You don't go into the details. You're just for the sake of passing the exam, gaining the degree. We are doing that, right? So that I believe is the second important hurdle. The third and most important hurdle I would say is missing industry relevant skill set in the graduates. Even if they're graduating, we are seeing the industry is complaining all the time, saying like we don't have the people who have particular technical skills, soft skill. What is happening? These problems I would say are very, very serious. Because without addressing them, it would be very difficult for us to move on, because it impacts the growth and development at various levels. At the individual level, if we don't have good engineers, they don't get jobs. It's right from them. There is suffering, right? They suffer, their family suffers. Ultimately, it will impact the society, and in long run, it impacts the growth and development of the nation. So I strongly believe like we need to take steps to definitely rectify, or at least try to rectify whatever some of the challenges what we are seeing. So this is what I would say the challenges. So now coming about the challenges, I would like to talk briefly about these things and the motivation behind. So it's very well understood. I believe you will agree with me. Like there are challenges, and what I mentioned, everyone can feel that, right? Now, I like to link it to teaching philosophy, especially which I try to do in my life, which is based on I'm not sure who actually is by whom. There are a lot of people say from different people, somebody Benjamin Franklin. I'm not trying. The important is like it's so meaningful, that completely defines the essence of teaching. So it goes like this: tell me and I forget, teach me, I may remember, involve me and I learn. So this is true. Like if a teacher comes to the class and starts talking about electrical engineering, civil engineering, students, a very few handful of them may be interested in listening to what is, so that is not, I would say, a right way of teaching, right? The next comes where it says teach me or show me. So I remember I was fortunate enough to have very good teachers like Joe sir. I like to recall when we were in fourth semester, fifth semester, he used to teach electrical machines. So he would take us to the machines lab, open the electrical machine, show us the parts of the DC machine. Like this is the armature, this is the commutator, the field winding, all this. So, you know, so when you see something that actually creates a deeper impact, right? And I remember, like I have been discussing with one of my classmates yesterday, and she was telling me like 13 years she has been a homemaker now, right? And like yesterday she was telling me she still remembers 13 years back how Sudha madam taught Laplace transform. So that is how if you show the students, they will still remember. But I believe still it isn't it's not that effective at that level. So there comes the important stage where all the students, so that the real learning or understanding happens, right? So how can learning rather than the final result? Okay, a drawback I'm seeing is in our system, what we are seeing is everyone is bothered about marks. Okay, if I don't get 70% marks, if I don't get 80% marks, I'm good for nothing. No, that is wrong, completely wrong. More important is what you learned, how you learn. So the emphasis has been on the process, the learning process. We have to correct that. So let me tell you one thing. The employees, when you go for an employment, okay, so what the situation we are, I think we are 160. Let's talk about just Kerala or Thrissur. We have 160 odd engineering colleges in Kerala, right? How many graduates? 60 to 80,000 seats. These people coming out at the end of 4 years, pretty much having, most of them having in the same range of marks, right? So when you go for a job interview, so what would be a selection criteria? So the thing is, the employer will look into, he understands you come from electrical background, you're supposed to understand the basics of electrical engineering, the subject you are supposed to have the knowledge in various subjects, areas of electrical engineering. That is expected of you. But what they look more into is beyond that. What do you have? The technical skills, what kind of programming languages you know. Just knowing that is not enough. For the sake of, like, we have webinar, people say I attended webinar, I attended this course on Udemy. No, that is, you're fooling again yourself. Just attending that on online, showing a certificate. How you use these skills to do something which is relevant. So this is what I'm saying, the process. This cannot be, you go for an interview, we have the placement department and all, they're doing their best, Paul Chaklo sir and all, trying to emphasize on this, like these skills, they have to be built over the years. They cannot be built in 1 week. Okay, I have an interview coming up with the company next week. You may work 15 hours, 16 hours a day for a week, but you may not be able to perform. So what I'm trying to emphasize is the process is important. So it has to be done slowly and gradually. So these skills have to develop. So importance, the emphasis on process is much important than the final outcome. If you gain 60%, you have first class, doesn't matter. I have seen students here who have much better in an interview than a candidate who has 80% of marks, right? So what is the point? So if you have a degree, if you don't pay attention to the process of the learning, the learning step as such, there is no use. So these are the things which I saw was even right? So this is what I was talking about when the moment of realization came in me, and then I decided to correct myself. So now, I believe I have talked about like why, what is the need, why we need to think about project-based involving students. First of all, briefly touch upon, like I talked about, like key challenges we have in our education system, right? And then I try to give you two perspectives. One is from the teaching philosophy side. One is from the actually what is today in this world, who are doing a good institutions, what they are doing. So they are doing these things. So this we can definitely also do, right? Our state Kerala, our country India definitely has talent. Who says it doesn't have? The students who are there and here, they are almost the same, right? You know, the only difference is in the mindset, in the level of motivation. The resources today, it's available at your fingertip. So what all depends on is how much you are motivated, how much is the desire in you for that learning. That is most important thing. So So as I said, so we have to address this problem definitely, right? And this have been in, like, this is not something which came in last year or something. This have been there for decades, but we have to bring this into practice. So let me talk about what is project-based learning. So engineering, as we all understand, it's a blend of theory and practical, right? So the student, the engineering student definitely needs to have understanding of just reading books. Writing exam won't help you. You should have a much broader perspective, a hands-on experience, so that needs to be. So how can we do that? So there is where experiential learning comes into picture. We have a form of like what we call, right? And I'm very, very, very sure, like, students, they enjoy their lab sessions much more than their theory lectures, right? I even, let me talk from my experience. I used to do that. I was waiting, like, for the day when I would have my lab for any subject, machines, any kind of lab I had in my undergrad, So that is those 3 hours, like, you go, you do your hands-on activity, you learn, and fun with your friends. All those is a different story. So the project-based learning, I would say, is a comprehensive approach of teaching and learning designed to engage students. The most important. They are the most important component in our life, in a college, in academic processes. So it's a comprehensive approach in teaching and learning designed to engage the students. How do we engage them? By involving them to address challenging problems. And what happens when you involve them in addressing challenging problems? It results in acquisition of new knowledge and competencies. So this is what actually project-based learning is. So now, in traditional teaching, what happens is we are more focused on delivery, course delivery. Like the focus is on the teacher, but it's high time we have to change. The focus has now to be on the student. So now the student have to become active learners and participate in activity-based learning. Okay. So, and the faculty member has to give them guidance. They don't need to be a ringmaster or anything like that. In school and all, maybe even I'm seeing that in schools, right from schools, this has been started being widely used. So why not we should use it in an engineering college? So the teachers now come into the role of facilitators. There are two important components of project-based learning. One is identifying a challenging research, a challenging problem. Okay, and then the next important step is to organize and drive the activities which are related to it. So this is what project-based learning is. So basically, it is focused on student community. It's a teaching learning process where you give the students a challenging problem, a real life kind of problem, and they themselves, they do a background reading. They come up with the best way to solve the problem, and I believe like it is definitely useful. So the teachers, definitely we have to support them. It's our duty. So we have to guide them properly. They may not be right at identifying a problem or their thought process. We may need to help them to correct it. So that is the duty of the teacher. So now let me talk about the benefits for the students. Okay, this is very important. So what I see is, if we go with project-based learning, the first important benefit is it helps in bringing about a change in the focus. As I said, the conventional teaching approach where it's one-sided delivery, right? No, that is not effective. So, research has shown that. Now what we need to go into the student-centric learning process, where we have to move from focus on result to process, which I already talked about. We have to move from teacher to a learner. Okay, so this is one of the important. Okay, so this is an important benefit for the student community, opportunity to build their technical competencies. As I said, when I graduated, I was very ignorant. I didn't care about learning these things, which are very important. Wherever you go for higher studies, you go into your job, you need to specialize. You need to be an expert, not even an expert, at least know to use this softwares. I would say, like, we have circuit branches, any branch. I may not be aware about all the software used by all the branches. MATLAB, PSAT, PSpice, GAMS, optimization softwares, these kind of softwares, you should have a knowledge, a mastery, at least one of it. Please At least one of it. Again, now we are seeing a world where electrical engineer won't be just looking into electrical engineering, wiring, this kind of thing. No, everything from actual hardware kind of thing we are moving into, which you are going to control from your computers, right? So we need to know the programming languages. So at least one programming language need to be known by students. Python, Java, there are many, but at least learn one. Then writing skills, they're important, right? So there was a time when we used to write Word, and no, those things are gone. You have to be impressive. So we have to start making use of LaTeX and those kind of word setting platforms and all this. So this project-based learning, the one advantage is if you go through this, it will help you to build these skills. Next comes is innovation, creativity. So the idea is you give student a problem. And even sometimes the problem is identified and given by the teacher. Sometimes they can come up with their own. They are always welcome. So it gives them a freedom, right? They're not bound. It gives them the opportunity to think out of the box, right? So that is very important. You know, we can't imagine. Many times I have done that. We underestimate our students. You know, their thinking capability. They have enormous capability. They are much smarter than many a times the teachers are. So we should be nurturing them. We should bring these talents inside them. We should motivate them to bring this out of them, you know. So that is what I say, innovation and creativity can flourish. Then the next advantage is opportunity to work on interdisciplinary problems. So as I again said, we are now moving in an era where the kind of areas where we are working is computational engineering, data analytics, data science. Like, it doesn't contain itself to one branch of engineering. It's a combination of electrical engineering, mechanical, where you use the concepts and theories of electrical, mechanical, everything, and you use algorithms, programming, etc. So we are moving into that world, and our students have to be trained to take up interdisciplinary projects. So project-based learning can help students to do that. Over and above, during this course of learning, they just not only gain knowledge, but also they are able to develop life skills, you know, so skills such as presentation skills. If you agree with me or not, the technical knowledge is important, I will say, but more important, what I'm seeing is, from my experience, I have gone for many interviews. So what they look into is how well do you communicate, how well you express yourself, you know. So they see, these people who are sitting there, they have their own ways of gauging your knowledge and all those things. But they want, when they are hiring somebody, they want to make sure, okay, this is the ideal person for that company who can work towards the growth of the company, who can work in a team, who can contribute, right? So for that, these presentation skills are important. This you can. Next comes decision making. So when you work in your own project, you and a group of your friends are leaders for that project, right? It is you who make decision. Should we go with this approach? Should we go with this approach? So that gives you training to make decision making. Time management. You have to stick to deadlines, right? So that is another characteristic which you develop. Crisis management. You may end up there may be a failure of component. You have your presentation tomorrow. What will you do? Right? So those are crucial times. So this is actually when you start working in a real job, your full-time job, these are the kind of situation you face, right? So this is actually a training for them. So that's why I would say, like, this is project-based learning is very important. We should think about it seriously. Now, I mentioned advantages, benefits, that's all, but life is always like this, right? There is pros and cons. There are, in fact, always there's challenges to it. It's not that all that easy as it seems, like as I'm speaking, right? You need to devote a lot of time, effort for this, energy for this, you know. So I have tried to jot down few challenges. What I would say first is the lack of self-confidence. When I joined engineering, again, I'm talking, I cannot talk from any other person's perspective, right? I can talk what I have felt, what I have experienced. So Sudha madam and teachers, they have been giving us opportunity to work on projects from first year. I was scared. I very well remember during our first year, it was combined. She selected students from all 4 branches of engineering. 10 students were selected in a group of 2. They were given a topic to present, right? I wanted to do that, but I was reluctant. Okay, and but when I see my friends doing that, I was thinking, oh, yeah, they are doing such a great job, right? I cannot do. I don't have these qualities. This kind. So the lack of self-confidence it would be in you, right? But please, my dear students, this should go out of you. There's nothing which you cannot achieve. You know, what you need is just that motivation, that enthusiasm. Everything else will follow. There are teachers to help you. The management is there to give resources. So these challenges will come in your life, but it is more important is how do you overcome these challenges. So that is so self-confidence, building self-confidence is important. Next comes the mental block. As I said, many times we are reluctant to, we don't want to come out of our comfort zone. You know, I was also like, even, what are you talking about? When I came for my PhD, as I said, I am not kind of a tech savvy person, you know, I'm very comfortable, that kind of person, 4 or 5 years back. So when I came, I see people use these tools, I was reluctant to learn this kind of, so there was a mental block, you know. So my supervisor, okay, we have a lot of this, so example, I was struggling with learning softwares like GAMS, but he pushed me. You know, there is no other way. You have to learn this. You know, so this is what I have to say to my teaching community, my colleagues in teaching community. We have to do that. You have to push our students. You know, you have to learn. This is only for the good. So regarding again, then I used to write in Word. So my professor. See our Indian Prime Minister, he is how many 60 odd years, and he is promoting everything digital India, all those things. And at this age you're working, you should learn much better kind of like word setting kind of thing. Then that I was forced to learn later, you know. So just like to please don't evaluate me or my supervisor on this example I gave, our political inclinations. Okay, and then coming to another challenge for the students moving to project-based learning would be good mentors who can guide them through this process, who can be with them, you know, proper advice. So these are the challenges I see for the student community. We should definitely, we can work on it and overcome this. Now, another important stakeholder in this whole teaching learning process is, of course, the faculty members, right? So let's see from their perspective, like what are the benefits for the faculty members? I would say first and foremost is job satisfaction. You know, as a teacher, what is your prime duty? This is such a pious profession, right? Money and all, many people talk in terms of money. Some people say like people come into teaching who don't get any job, and I don't want to do those kind of things. But still, we have a few handful of teachers who come here because of passion. You know, when you see, this is the what do you call, the raw material you are getting your hands, right? So God has gifted us to mold that, right? To come up with a beautiful product. Over the 4 years, if we help them to where they were, say at this stage, if you help them to grow to this stage, personally for me, there's nothing more I expect out of this profession. It's not money, it is this. So when there have been many incidents in my life when students after years and the kind of comments they make, so it cannot be valued in terms of money. So this is what I'm saying. This is the most important, highest advantage to the community if you help them with project-based learning. You're helping them groom better. I cannot see anything more advantageous than that. Second, at your personal level, you are also getting, we are also, I will not say you, I belong to this community. So I am also getting benefited. We all are getting benefited. See, to sustain in academia, you cannot stop learning. You have to keep updating knowledge. Technology which is coming, it's so fast. Earlier it was fine. If something comes in 10, 50, 25 years, not changing. But something which comes today is changing in 2 years, 5 years. 5 years is too long. 2 years down the lane. If we don't update ourselves, how will we be able to help our students? So that helps us to grow ourselves. If you engage in project-based learning, you envision, you have to think about challenging problems, which you a task which you have to give to your students, right? So that itself is a own growth for the teaching. Then another advantage is there is a lot of complaint. People say like these teachers, they just learned whatever they have learned during their degrees or post graduation, they just come and talk about it. So no, that cannot happen, right? So if our students have to improve, we need to we need to have interaction with the industry, we need to understand like what their problems are and try to be a part of it. So these are some of the advantages or benefits I see for the faculty community as such. Now, of course, there are challenges for the faculty members, I would say, more than the student community. First and foremost challenge I would say is identifying or framing effective project problems or tasks. So it's the teacher who needs to have a much broader vision, right? Students may not be able to think in that way. So that's a challenging part of it. Connected to that, I would like to talk about the third point, training. In what we see in the private engineering colleges, like all of us are young members, right? It was not our fault. We didn't have an opportunity. Maybe not everyone, at least we didn't have opportunity to work in this kind of opportunity was there. I didn't utilize it, to be frank. So, so what we need is training, right? We should be given, or the community should be given, opportunity to interact with experts in the area, right? Who can give us training to build the skills. When we build the skills, then only we will be able to pass on those skills to our students, right? Then comes the time management. Important problem I see, like our system, apart from the abroad universities, is that we are constrained to university affiliation, right? So the teacher has to do so many things, I admit, and in fact, so somebody sets a syllabus, somebody else teaches, and somebody else marks the exam, right? So this is a problem. So the teacher also is not sure. They have to put in so much effort. I very well understand. So that is what I'm saying, at time, and how will you fit in these projects like within your course, right? So that is a challenge we have to tackle, but definitely. Then the resources at our disposal, this is something a management has to do with, right? Okay, we have dedicated staff, enthusiastic students. What if we don't have the resources, right? So we should be, but I'm very sure, again, I would like to say, these all are secondary. There are ample opportunities. There are people around who want to help. Again and again, I'm emphasizing most important thing is motivation and will to do that, both for the students and for us teachers. And then another challenge is the assessment. Like if we move into project-based learning, again, a shortcoming what I was seeing, like from my experience as a teacher and student, if we talk about mini project, final project, see what student community is doing. They were a final product, final result, the presentation, right? They want to know, okay, the marks are all tied to this final thing. So they're all looking into that result. No, that is wrong. We have to move into a continuous, though we have that. I'm not saying we don't have, we have for problem identification, but that has to be effectively followed. There has to be a close monitoring. The evaluation and assessment has to take place over the time. Am I running out of time? Okay. No, I think I have still 5 minutes. So till this point of time, so in the past few slides, what I tried to talk is what is project-based learning, right? Why is it important for the student community and the teaching community? I just want to check, like everyone is with me, because I'm not seeing, I'm just seeing my screen. Hello.
You can see the chat window. I believe everyone is with you. There's no problem.
Okay. No, I was just checking, like whether I got disconnected or something.
Nobody has mentioned anything in the chat window, which means
because I'm just seeing my screen. I'm not even seeing the chat window. So please let me.
Yeah. You might see some people on the video.
So now, I started with talking about why do we need this? What is this? Now let's look into how to do this. Okay, we'll spend very less time on this because this needs to be talked in detail later. So we already have the system in place. So when I was looking, even KTU. So if you look into the assessment, what we call the internal assessment, there is weightage for sessional marks, right? I guess out of 50, still in 50, 30 marks or 60% weightage is for sessional exams, series test and all. Next, 15% is assigned for, it says assignment bar, quiz bar, projects. But what happens? Everyone just sees the first word, other two. So now we should change the order so that we should make use of that. If there's, I have seen, I went back to the K2 syllabus and saw, so it's there in almost all courses. So as a part of intelligence, so there is weightage for projects. So we should use that opportunity. So coming to the projects, if we want to implement this, so what I would say is, again, this is already in the system, as I said, but like I like to just talk about how do we need to see it. So the projects can be kind of two projects. One, what I call is the short-term project, which would be based on for each course. There are 52 courses, and I very well agree there are difficulties in doing it for 52 courses, right? But we can start with a very few courses. So at course level, you're taking a course in, say, circuit theory, electrical machines. So the teacher, the weightage of it, that is up to the teacher how to decide. But I believe if we bring in the project component of it, it will be useful. Of course, it puts extra burden on the teaching community and also on the student community. But please understand, like the pains which we are taking now, but later the rewards what you would be reaping is more than what compared to the pains. So we have to overcome that. So at the course level, we should think about doing some small projects. So the expectation at this level is basically to synthesize and apply knowledge gained in that particular course. So you will be teaching, you will be taught some few concepts and electrical. Again, electrical engineering is easy for me to say. So in that particular subject of particular branch of engineering. So what is relevant? So what helps you to understand the topic much better? Okay, so that should go in, right? This project, I'm very well sure that will help. So at the short term level, we can do projects at the each course level. Okay. Then we already have this system for a long time, mini project and final project, right? So actually, what are the objectives of these projects? The real objectives, okay? Are we able to achieve that? That's a different story. So to train the students to work in a realistic industry kind of environment, that is the idea. So over the 4 years, you cannot do it throughout the time, right? So, but you have some exposure. What kind of work? At least tackle 1, 2, or 3 problems in your engineering. That will make a huge change with and without doing these projects. I'm telling you. So, training the students to work in realistic industry-like environment. Another important objective is to train them to work in a team. So no longer any institution you go. So it's very rare you will be working on something individually. You will do your part, and it has to be integrated. That is what all system engineering is all about, right? Everyone does small parts, and finally it has to be integrated. So you have to very well know the team's work. How do you not find people with the same mindset, right? Whenever you are working in a group, institution, anywhere, but you have to learn that. How do I do that? But effectively, you have to do your part. Then synthesize and apply knowledge to particular case when you're talking specifically about mini projects in that particular engineering and all, and learn the design process. So these are the objective what is expected. Now, talking about projects, we can think about simulation projects, which you can just use any software and simulate a problem, understand, and then evaluate, analyze those kind of things. You can also go for hardware implementation. What I see is more in BTech level, what we are seeing, students prefer hardware kind of implementation. That is fine. That is also gives you hands-on experience. Ultimately, what matters is the kind of experience you draw out of this kind of projects. So how to do implement project-based learning? I would say these are the avenues available already in our education, our university system. Thank you. Then just to briefly take you through the project cycle when you decide to do, this is specifically applicable, I would say, the whole steps for the mini project or the main project, which most of, at least many students are aware, but still I thought I'll talk about it a little. So you start with a literature review. First, you should understand, be it anything, your project, tomorrow you start up with a company, you want to product, you have to do a market survey, right? That is a survey. So that similar is a literature review. You need to understand, you identified your area. So what already people have done in that area. that you need to understand, right? So you need to identify the gaps, what has not, if everybody has done, if somebody has already come up with a method for doing something, there's no point you do it again. Repetition, right? You won't be appreciated for that. But even if you make a small change which adds value to that method or to that product, that is, so to do that, you have to do a thorough literature review. Then to identify the problem, once you're done literature review, okay, this, in this area, this problem seems interesting, right? This is something which I need to study, to tackle upon, right? So identifying and defining your problem is very important. Then comes modeling and simulation. So mathematical modeling. This is another important feature which we engineering students need to understand, which again I was lacking. I didn't know what is mathematical modeling and all. So mathematical modeling is basically understanding the physical characteristic of the system, what you're doing, and expressing it in terms of mathematical equations. So that actually describes that system, but through equations, right? Mathematics. You spend time gradually. If you, I was also very scared when I mathematical model, they make a mathematical model. But with due course of time, go step by step, understand what you're doing. So you understand the physical operational characteristics of those, and then gradually we write the mathematical. So that is mathematical modeling. Once you mathematically model that, then you code it and simulate it. That thing, right? And then the other part, maybe this is maybe there may be computation of this, right? You create a product and then you do studies on it. Then comes just creating a product simulation is not enough. The more important thing as an engineer is how do you analyze it, the analytical skills, right? So given a problem analysis, how do you come up with the results, presentation of results, what are the important things you notice there, they have to be reported. So that comes in the reporting phase. And once all this is done, and in between too, there are review stage. In between, we have to make sure like we are meeting all the criteria and stuff. And then comes the assessment, right? Assessment also. So the review and assessment is actually a continuous process, right? So that goes on. So this is an overview of the project cycle, I would say. Now, I'd like to briefly talk about the action plan. This is just a proposition which I have in my mind. Maybe it's all up to the students and teaching community. So if you first thing I would say is you should sit and think. Where are you? What are you? Do your SWOT analysis. The strength, identify your strength, weaknesses, the opportunities you see, and your threats. You know, that is very important. You should know yourself, at least yourself well. Okay, then only you will be able to decide. So where you have skills, so it said like play with your skills, play with your strengths and work on your weaknesses, right? We have to use that. So do SWOT analysis, and then based on your strengths, identify where you want to work. So now the next stage is start preparing yourself. So, and I would say suggestion. Okay, I don't advise anybody. Who am I to advise anyone? It's I always believe no. I have to grow in life and all that. But I believe like at least the kind of competition what we are seeing these days, the engineering students, they should make it up that they know at least, which I briefly mentioned in my previous slide, they know at least one software, at least. And then MATLAB, Spice, whatever is in your area, drawing, okay. And then programming language, coding language, or it is very important, MATLAB coding or Java. And then at the same time, writing and presentation skill, slides, making slides and all those things. No? And once, so this is, it will not happen in a day, right? You have to do it over the course of time, over the 4 years. Okay, and even don't worry, as I said, like even if you are in a final year, you should not have a feeling like, I lost so much time. No, there's never losing time. So I always believe whatever has happened for good. What is happening for good. What is gonna happen is always gonna happen for good, right? Have that. So important thing is you realize your mistake, you want to improve yourself. That feeling should come. Right? So now, then once you start preparing yourself, then look around. Okay. There are so many things which we can offer or we can do for our community. There may be a small industry nearby, like our college or near your home. Okay, visit that, try to understand the problems they're having, try to offer a solution. So come up with an app, right, to help that small enterprise to maybe do the billing or kind of thing, the customer data, and just throwing some ideas. Okay, so that is a computer. You can come up with an app. You can come up with to solve a technical problem. So this is what actually engineers do, right? When you work in any company, you will be faced with problems. You have to solve that problem. That is all problem solving. That is all what it is about. So look for interesting problems around and start working on it. So this is what I would say the student community may start to think about. How can they take it forward? Now for my teaching community, my colleagues, what I would say is, if possible, as I said, when I was doing BTech, there were, I believe, 52 or 54 subjects. We cannot do projects in all those 54. But in core electrical engineering, again, I'm just citing example. Okay, I'm not much, I don't know much about other branches like computer science or that's why. So in electrical engineering, I say the main areas, thrust areas, electrical machines, control system, power electronics, and some more. So at least if not all, but if we are able to do give students, even I'm saying the short-term project, okay, if we are able to give students at least one project because the power system, kind of 3 power systems, if you are able to make them do them a very good exposure, make use of softwares, writing reports, solving problems, So to start with, we should teaching community, we should take that extra effort to decide that we should do this, and we should go about finding problems and doing it. There are ways of doing it. I'll tell you, everything is available on Google. Okay, so what is it? The important thing is learning, right? To start with, we can go and see what other universities are doing, right? We can see what kind of projects, and from that we can get ideas. We can either take it as such, or even we can, or the better way would be improve it, add something to it of our own. So you have to create, or if you can do that, that's very well and good, but still for a starting step, we can do that, right? There are a lot. I was brought in many of the institutions, because now everything is available in public domain. Next, coming to the mini project and main project, I would say we have to little bit do revamping kind of thing more. Like I know, like our institution and many other institutions have been doing, like they are emphasizing or making it like the mini projects kind of thing should be done at the institution level only. Within the institution, we'll give you all things, whatever you need. So those kind of arrangements we'll have to bring, and like we have to dedicatedly help our students to take up the mini projects and projects more seriously and do it. Get benefit, the real benefit out of it. So even the thing is, even like from my experience, I'm telling, even like I had done, I didn't learn this, but once you go into work, you have to learn. But the advantage is, if you do it right now, you save that much time, So whatever mistakes you make this point of time, this is the best time. When you are in a college, a university, you are in front of your teachers, you are in front of your classmates. What is the problem in making mistake? You don't have to feel embarrassed. But once you go into your work, there also it's not. But their expectation is when you come there, you know these things, right? There's nothing wrong if you make mistakes there, but still, what I'm trying to say, it's much better if we do that. If we learn this at the time when we are at this level, you can use that time to do or learn many other new things. So you can fasten up your growth. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So I'm concluding. I don't know if I took 10 minutes more than what I was allotted. So I'm just winding. So conclusion. So in my whole idea of my presentation was,
I understand that our alumni is also going to be quite helpful to us. So can we build up a project bank? Yeah, I understand that not just Nitin is here. There are quite a large number of old students here. So if we can build up a project bank, suggest some ideas, okay, so students will be able to take them from them directly.
Yes, ma'am. We can think about, definitely. I can present it to this is what just overnight actually, which idea came when I saw few messages from my classmates, and some of them I had a chance to talk. So this happens in every institution. This is not something new which is coming up, a new novel idea or anything like that. But like there are people who feel like now we can help the institution. So as you said, they are coming up with a project idea is good. Also, we'll do a brainstorming. Actually, we can do a brainstorming on this.
Okay, if you can meet us on Google Meet, etc. these days, based on something that you suggest and some takers from our students, perhaps that will be good. Okay. Okay, of course, our alumni is special. Okay, you know that our alumni is special. They are it's different from
Yeah.
all the institutions. Okay,
Yeah,
we
of course.
feel that our alumni is definitely special. The best alumni that is possible. Okay, thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope some of
And
the students they might can say ask.
one more important point, which I think I should mention here, because I when I get an important quality which I have been trying to say. So the feeling of mine, ende. You know, wherever you work, wherever you are, you study in a college, you should have that feeling. This is my college, my institution. You go to start working. When that feeling comes, you know, so then your efficiency becomes multifold. So I have seen that. So we should try to inculcate that feeling. I'm just sharing this for the benefit of the student community.
Okay, I hope some